Oh, there we go. We're going to record this primarily so that we can reference it if other folks want information. And we welcome you here. I'm Vic Marks. And let's wait one more minute and see if anybody else wants to pop in, and then we'll get started. Okay, I say we go for this. What do you think? All right. Um, so before we go into the details about the degree, which we certainly want to do, just so glad you're here, glad you're interested in WACD's MFA in choreographic inquiry. We have lots of information to share. Hi there, Rosa. And I'm Vic Marks. I'm a professor in the Department of World Arts and Cultures Dance and a choreographer. Also the chair of the Disability Studies major and the program director for the MFA right now. And I want to introduce you to my colleagues before we invite you to introduce yourselves. I'll take a jump over to Kate Leidenheim. Kate, will you introduce yourself?
Sure thing. I'm an assistant professor here at the Department of World Arts and Culture / Dance. I'm relatively new. I started last year, so I'm very excited to be here. And I teach and make work in the space where dance and technology kind of collide and make tensions with the body. So
great. And
also I'll be taking over Vic's position as director of MFA next year. So yes, I'm here to learn things about how to do stuff like this. So.
Kate's a wonderful colleague, and I want to introduce you to Matt Dingman.
Hi, everyone. I'm Matt. I work as the advisor to the MFA program. I also work with the admissions process here. So as you go through the admissions process, I'm probably going to be the person you want to contact. You have questions about the application itself, about the program, you can start with me, and I might have to lean out to other people. And beyond that, if you are admitted, I will help you with the program requirements and the university rules and things like that as you go through the program.
And I want to invite you to introduce yourselves. Karen, why don't you get us started?
Hi, everyone. My name is Karen Chuang. I actually went to UCLA for my undergrad, but I did not study dance. I studied business economics. And after I graduated, got really lucky and kind of fell into a dance career, mostly in commercial dance. And I've been doing that since I graduated in 2012, so it's been a really long time. And I'm interested in the UCLA WACD MFA program because I'm curious about my own choreography and how it relates to the rest of the community. And because I have such a love for UCLA, definitely wanted to consider and look more into the program.
Fantastic. Great to have you here, Karen. I'm going to let someone else is joining us. And is it Maya? Did I say your name
It's
correctly?
Maya. Maya.
Maya.
Yeah, very close though.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi guys, my name is Maya Rose. My pronouns are she, her. I am a current senior at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, where I study contemporary dance performance and choreography. I am interested in getting my master's degree in choreography. And I'm actually from Los Angeles, so I grew up in the Valley, and then I went out of state for college, just because I'm sure you all know getting into college is very, very challenging in the state of California, and it's also very expensive. So I got really lucky, just with going to UW Milwaukee. I really, really love it here. Yeah, so I'm really interested in the UCLA dance department. I've always been really interested in it, so I'm just here to learn a little bit more. Yeah.
I'm glad you're here, Maya.
Thank you.
Rosa, would you introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Rosa. Um, I'm originally from Poland. I'm not. Right now, I'm in Mexico, so it's a bit. My story is I used to live 5 years in the Netherlands, and that's where I was basically collaborating with independent artists and also learning and assisting them. But since I also didn't study dance, I studied anthropology, but movement and more now I feel like I'm more interested in my own creation or searching for my own aesthetics or interest after being inspired working with other people. But I want to find my own aesthetics.
Mm. Oh, we're very glad you're here, Rosa. And Eva or Eva, are you here? Oh,
Yes.
hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Eva. I right now I'm having a residency at CalArts, and I'm interested in UCLA's program because it's very interdisciplinary. It's like a lot of textuality and choreography and for my undergrad I did integrated digital media where we use a lot of digital systems like from robotic system to audio system to like video systems and like digital system to create some form of art or um, in that lane. And I also did psychology and philosophy, which feed into my practice as an artist. And I danced growing up. And so I think what interests me the most is movement itself and whether it comes from a digital system or like a way of thinking, it's like all movement. So yeah.
Mm, mm. Fantastic. And Eva, you missed briefly an introduction from each of us who are here from UCLA, but I'm Vic Marks. I'm the program director for the MFA this year and a professor of choreography and chair of disability studies. And I'll just have a quick pass because I think you'll want to hear this from Kate. Kate's interests maybe align somewhat with yours.
Yes, I'm Kate, assistant professor, world arts and culture / dance. Eva, I think we've met before actually, so it's nice to see you again. And I make work with dance and technology and will be taking over Vic's position next year. So I'm here to learn about how to be vice chair of graduate affairs. Yeah, nice to meet you. See you again.
And Matt over here in my corner, but maybe not yours, is our student affairs advisor who will take you through processes as you apply and should you join the MFA. Matt, did you want to add anything there?
No, we're good. Thank you.
Okay, great. So we have a little slideshow. It's not the most scintillating slideshow, but just some information that I can narrate and you can see. And then we'll definitely pause for questions. This is mostly a slideshow about the sort of brass tacks, the mechanics of the program, but we can talk a little bit more about the content. So let me share my screen. Ah, yes. Okay. So can you see the screen? So this is for entry fall 2026. And you have, we've already done some introductions, but what follows are some important dates for the process, our application requirements, the choreographic inquiry MFA program requirements and our faculty, and then we'll pause for discussion and your questions. You have already met me. Vic Marks and Matt, and you met Kate. So I'll take another step. I'm just gonna, okay. So our deadline for applications is Monday, December 1st, 2000. Whoa, I didn't mean to do that. 2025. And we have a two-part process. So if you apply, by the end of December, you'll be informed if you're invited into phase 2 of our process, where we get to know your work a little more deeply and meet you more substantially. In phase 2, for those who are invited to phase 2, there's a third submission of video. The first phase is 2 submissions of video. And then on Friday, January 23rd, this should say 2026. If you are invited to phase 2, we'll be getting a chance to interview you on Zoom. So first phase deadline, December 1st. You'll hear from us by the end of December. Second phase, your materials will be due early January, and we would like to have an interview with you on January 23rd, 2026. And, whoops, let's see, there we go. Just a little bit about application requirements. So when you apply to our MFA in choreographic inquiry, you apply through the graduate admissions and you follow their requirements. And that includes a statement of purpose, a personal statement, and the GOF awards are graduate opportunity fellowships. And if you're eligible for that, we will hopefully apply for that with you to help you get funding. In order to apply, you need to have a bachelor's degree from an accredited institution. And a GPA of a 3.0 minimum. And then for international students, let me just close this down. For international students, you're expected to hold a degree representing completion of at least 4 years of study with above average or very good scholarship from a university or university level institution. There are English requirements. This is all our grad division for the entire university. And you'll see that there's information about, for example, if you're an international student, to ensure that your English skills are at a capacity where you can complete your studies. And there are some different requirements for international applicants that you'll be able to receive. I think, Rosa, this might pertain to you, and we can come back to that. Then, let's see. So about our application process in phase 1, we ask you for a statement on choreographic inquiry, and this is going to be in addition to what you have to do for grad division. And this is your chance to tell us what you want to do in the MFA program, where you describe your choreographic interests, what questions are you interested in, and what are some of the reference points that you consider, for example, other artists or things you want to do with your choreographic work. What new knowledge are you hoping to get and to apply to your graduate study? And what do you see in our department that will allow you to do that as opposed to a kind of generic program? You'll also need 2 letters of recommendation and an unofficial transcript. We have a WACD MFA experiential background questionnaire. WACD, I know it's sort of, we're so used to it, but that is an acronym that refers to the name of our department. We're the Department of World Arts and Cultures / Dance. And more about that in a moment. But in the experiential background questionnaire, you'll respond to a number of questions, and you'll also include links to 2 choreographic work samples, and add some descriptions of those. Am I okay to continue? Because please let me know if you'd like to ask a question about phase 1 before. We can also talk
I
about
do
this
have a
later.
question. Yes.
Yes.
So on the website, it's specified that 2 work samples are a group piece without the choreographer like me in it, and another group piece or but like the information on the website and in the application portal is kind of different. I think in I want to specify like what to format of choreographic work are you looking for?
Um, Eva, that's a great question. I wasn't aware that they were inconsistent. We're interested to see group work, in case that is something you want to pursue, as well as solo work. So could I get back to you once I look and see the inconsistency that you're referring to?
Yes, I think on the website also like I think it's a solo work and
Yeah.
a group piece without myself choreographer in it, and on the application portal I don't think there's any like requirements. It's just say like
Okay. Well, we would like a group piece. Thank you for that information, and a piece for one performer. I would say that if you don't have a group piece without you in it, for example, if you are in it, that's okay. What's interesting, of course, is when you are outside your group piece, you have a different perspective than when you're inside of it, and we're very interested in that. But the group work, ideally without you in it, but if you're in it, that's okay. You can let us know.
For me, I don't have a solo piece yet because it's just too hard for me. I'm just too judgmental. So I don't know if I should include a solo. But is that required?
If you don't have a solo, let us know and let us know why, and just put in a second piece of choreography.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Okie dokes. So if you're invited into, thank you for that question, by the way, Eva.
It also looks like Karen has a question.
Okay, thanks, Karen. Please do.
Thank you. I think I follow up to that. Is the solo meant to be a solo of ourselves, or can it be of another dancer?
Either way, let us know who it is, if it's you.
Gotcha. Thank you.
This, there's no question but that as a choreographer in this program, you're going to be a dancing person. And much of the first year of choreography is solo work. So, think on that if that appeals to you. It doesn't have to be solo work in your first year, but getting dancers to work with you is another layer of organization. So a lot of our students in their first couple of classes in the first year do solo work. So just because I'm not looking at the little Zoom box, just speak out if you have another comment or question. So January 5th, for phase 2, we'll ask for a third choreographic work, preferably featuring you as a performer and expanding on the artistic range of the first 2 samples that you submitted. And then we will schedule an interview with you on Zoom with our MFA faculty, who are the selection committee. And you'll also have an opportunity on the 23rd to meet with some of our current WACD graduate students to learn more about their experience. This is a little bit about our department. WACD, as we call it, World Arts and Culture / Dance, is a unique department. There are, in our undergraduate degree, we have a dance major and we have a world arts and cultures major, which the dance major places a good deal of focus on choreographic work, choreographic inquiry, what it means to make something, put something into the world. But our dance majors, in addition to also having movement practice or technique class, also consider dance histories and dance studies and think about the role of dance in culture and dance as a form of representation and dance as a locus for social change. The World Arts and Cultures major moves in a slightly different direction. World Arts and Culture students study culture making in multiple communities, both locally and globally, and look at museumology, curatorship, ethnographic work, and arts activism. So that's our BA degree. And then I'm going to skip down to the third bullet point to say that we also have two graduate programs. We have the MFA in choreographic inquiry, which I think is why you're here. And we also have a PhD in culture and performance. And I want to talk a little bit about that, but now I just want to also say that our department lives within a school that has 4 departments in it. Those 4 departments are art, the Department of Architecture and Urban Design, and the Department of Design, Media Arts, as well as WACD. One of the things I wanted to say in terms of our degree programs, our graduate programs, is one of the things that's very special about our MFA is that our choreographic inquiry program lives alongside of our PhD program. And most of our MFA students take classes, some classes with our PhD candidates. So that's exciting to me, and I think to most of us, because not only are our MFA students creating art, but they're also thinking about the discourses around the body, around performance, corporeality, alongside of our PhD students. And so the cohort also is a group of choreographers and writers and thinkers who are just basically thinking, but in 2 different modalities, one through choreography and one through written work. I think we have a beautiful building. We have an entire building to ourselves. We have 6 studios. We actually have 3 theaters, a big theater that we use a lot, a small theater, and a kind of courtyard theater. We have a media lab and a social practice art lab, a grad student lounge, and lecture halls. I'll pause in case you have questions about this slide or any more information there. All right. So now this is a slide about the degree itself. The degree is, the minimum number of units for the degree is 72 units, which I must say is easily accomplished in 2 years in terms of a unit number. Generally students, I'm not ready to do the math here, but take between 12 and 20 units per quarter. And it's a 6-quarter program. So if anybody wants to do the math there, you can. And a minimum of those units are graduate and professional courses. And maybe I should pause and talk about what a unit is. Let me know. Do you think that you would like to hear what a unit is? Most courses are 4 units. And a unit is actually a correlation of hours of time. So each unit is 3 hours of time per week. So a 4-unit course is approximately 12 hours of time per week. And that 12 hours includes time in class in the studio with instructors and your cohorts, and time outside of class reading or studio practice and so on.
Vic, I have a question.
Yes, Maya.
Could you also explain how the quarter system works? Because I know that UCLA uses quarters, but I've never been able to wrap my brain around it.
Well, it's a great question. We're constantly trying to wrap our brains around it. So the year is divided into 4 quarters, but we primarily teach 3 quarters. We think of it as the fall quarter, the winter quarter, and the spring quarter.
Okay.
UCLA, a quarter lasts 10 weeks, 11 if you
Okay.
include finals week.
Okay.
And we start in late September
Mhm.
and we finish in mid-June.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
That was a great question.
Maya, also drop into the chat our academic calendar so you can kind of see how over a year those quarters break down and the
Okay.
amount of time you're spending per quarter.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thanks for doing that, Kate. So the big chunk of your work in the MFA program is creative practice. And each quarter they have a number. They're 211A in fall of your first year, 211B in winter of your first year, 211C in spring of your first year, and then you finish the series in fall of your second year. And these are a different faculty member teaches each of those classes, so you are exposed to each of our faculty. Um, and I would say that initially when you enter, what our hope is that you'll experiment and really steep yourself, engage deeply in ideas and um, experiment with the ideas that you're encountering. And I say this because very often you might feel like, I have to come in and know exactly what I'm doing. It's important for you to have a sense of direction, but it's important to balance that with curiosity and openness so that things can transform over 2 years. You can be up in a process of transformation. We also have a number of other choreography classes. These numbers here, I realize, are kind of meaningless, but they include or they refer to a course between composers and choreographers, where you can collaborate with composers, a course with courses working with a choreographer on their choreographic process. Oftentimes it's a faculty member, so you're inside someone else's choreographic process. And independent studies, especially in your second year. Once you've gone through our choreography series, you'll be doing independent studies with advisors or members of your committee. And that's basically you working on your work in conversation with a faculty member. The second part of our degree program are theoretical or critical studies seminars. And as I mentioned, one of the beauties of our program is that we have this MFA and PhD that are side by side. And so this is the place where you'll take courses along with PhD students and also work with our dance studies, dance scholars, that group of faculty. Let's see what else. Production practicum experience is about producing itself. There's a course on, is actually a course on producing yourself, learning how to create budgets, learning how to have develop promotional materials, thinking about copyrights, understanding the current climate for choreographic production. We also give you opportunities to stage manage for colleagues, so you get that experience. And sometimes, I hope soon, we offer a lighting design and general design course. And then finally, the last part of evening out your studies are electives. And that basically means that those are, for example, you'll probably want to be in movement classes. Those are electives. You'll probably want to take courses that move beyond the critical studies seminars, maybe about education, and so on. So those fill up pretty quickly also as you take those classes. Any questions here about the sort of layout? I could get even a little more granular if you'd like. You can just let me know. Or is that's good for now? Or yes, Maya.
I have two questions actually. I'm sorry. So I'm looking at the MFA Choreographic Inquiry Handbook right now. Okay, so one big question that I have is why, as like a graduate student, would we do a capstone project instead of a thesis?
We call the MFA projects capstone projects. I would say that it's roughly the same thing as a thesis, but it's a choreographic project. So I can't really say why it's not called a thesis, but it's called a capstone, and I think it's pretty much the same.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that was a good question.
Yeah,
Other
sorry, that's what I
questions?
thought. That's what I thought. I have one more question actually, if it's okay if I
Good.
ask.
No, it's really good.
Yeah, so then the other thing that I saw was that there is a field experience requirement as a part of your MFA. Could you just speak a little bit more about what that looks like or what is expected to fulfill that requirement?
There is not a field experience requirement as part of the
Okay.
MFA.
Okay, thank you.
Could you tell me what page of the MFA handbook you found that on?
Yes.
Make a note there. Thank you, Maya.
On page 11, it says engagement with local communities is strongly encouraged. Students can enroll in dance for 90 independent study with a faculty member to construct a project within the community.
Oh, okay. Well, that is all true. I mean, basically, we're very happy for you to create projects in conjunction with the larger community than UCLA. Like LA is an extraordinarily diverse city, and should you be wanting to make projects with dancers or in communities, that's fantastic. Absolutely, we encourage that. It's not a requirement. And the 490 number is an independent study number. So let's say you're in the second year of your program and you're working with the committee chair and you're saying, you know, I really like to develop my work alongside of or in the Fox Hills community in Los Angeles. I think that dance would be a very important resource for this community. I'm going to build those relationships. Will you advise me as I do that work? And yes, you absolutely can do that work. And that may feed into your MFA capstone work.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
We, and I would just say this is that we definitively do not have a prescription for what capstone work looks like. So you may want to work with dancers in the department. You may want to work with performers who are not identified as dancers, but are going to be performing in your work in the LA community. You may want to work with professional dancers outside of UCLA. You may want to make a solo performance. You may want to make a performance that's not in our theater. You may want to choose to be outside of UCLA. we're very interested in all of the possibilities of choreographic inquiry. So that's not a prescription. And Rosa, I see you raised your hand. So please, please.
Yes, I have questions about the previous slides, and it's and
This
it's
one?
no, even before that one, where it was basically about the requirements, like English language.
Oh, yes.
If it has to be the TEFL exam or certificate, because I was researching, and sometimes schools accept. For example, I graduated in cultural studies anthropology, and I did have all 5 years of studies. I had an English course, so I have grades from this one, and it's together with all my grades from my university. So I'm wondering if it can be like substitute of the TEFL certificate.
So you took classes somewhere in America here for 5 years. Is that what you said?
No, 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 no. I graduated in my country, in Poland,
Yep.
from the university, but throughout my education in anthropology, we
Yep.
had a course of like foreign language, and it was English in my case.
So the
Mm.
Division of Graduate Education is where they make the final determination on this, but I can tell you that unless the instruction was all in English, they're going to require the TOEFL or the IELTS. And that would be the university has to have all of its instruction in English. So it sounds to me like you will be required to have a TOEFL or an IELTS score that qualifies.
I see. Now I'm wondering if if it means that I can still apply this year in case I don't have the TOEFL.
You would want to take the TOEFL pretty much immediately because they will start
Exactly.
reviewing applications in early December. And without a qualifying TOEFL score, we would not be able to admit you. That is a very stringent requirement from the Division of Graduate Education here. And they have
I
to be the
see.
ones who, yeah, unfortunately, it might be you would have to wait a year if you can't get a TOEFL very soon.
But since our admissions process, is phase one and phase two, what Matt's saying is true, but you may have a little more window of time because you're going to want to try to take that TOEFL before we finish our phase two process, and we need that score.
Okay. Yeah, I will investigate how
Okay,
it works. Thank you.
that was a great question. This is a picture of some of the benchmarks for the MFA program. When you jump in year one in fall, you're taking a choreography class, you're probably taking a movement practice class. You might be taking a critical studies class with the PhD cohort, and you'll also begin a research paper on a topic that feels relevant to your work. Some students might choose to do a research paper on a choreographer or on two choreographers whose work talks to one another or does things differently, but are reference points for you. Or it might be that you want to do research on a particular um, um, idea about choreography itself, or for example, you want to do a research paper on ecosomatics and think about how that might be relevant to your work, or you might want to do a research paper on I'm making this up at this point, that was a true one, but on quinceañeras and the kind of dancing that occurs there. In those. So you begin your research paper in fall, you finish it in winter. at the end of your first year, in addition to your choreography classes, the movement practice, and your critical studies theory courses, you'll do a showing. And there's a kind of threshold moment there where we talk about your work and we encourage you to think about how the next year will shape up. Almost every graduate student in our program goes from the first year to the second year, but that is a gateway moment where we just talk about the quality of work. And then year two, in fall, you prepare a skeleton or a set of movement ideas or part of what will become your capstone, and you present it to faculty, and that is called a capstone presentation. You write about that work also, and that is the place in which you move from being working with your advisor to being able to formulate a committee, and you ask for a faculty member to be your committee chair. And then once fall of your second year is done, you are entirely focused on your capstone research, your project, that which you are making. We encourage you to think about where this will happen, but like in a theater or in multiple theaters or in community. Most projects tend to happen in our theaters. And then in spring of your second year, that's where you present your work. You meet with your committee and you have an oral defense of your work, you discuss your work with your committee, and then you write a response, a reflection paper, and create a production notebook, which is your process all the way through this. And I'm sorry, I feel like I'm throwing way too much information at you, but I hope this map gives you something to hold on to. You finish in June of your second year. I want to pause for questions, and I also want to pause to ask Kate or Matt if they would like to add clarity or information.
I have a question.
Sure.
Throughout the time, year one, year and year two, are there other opportunities where the MFA students can present work or choreograph or work with other students within the program?
There are a number of ways for that to happen, Karen. Firstly, every quarter you have a choreography class, and that class generally has weekly or bi-weekly assignments where you're making work. So basically from the get-go, you're creating work. And at the end of each quarter, say like December of this season, there is a presentation, informal, of work. Same thing in winter, an informal presentation. And these are opportunities to invite colleagues and friends to come. It's not produced work. So there is that. I would say that's what most folks do. There isn't like a formal production of MFA work until you actually do your capstone research. But I do want to add that every fall we have a faculty concert and bring in a guest choreographer as well as our own faculty as choreographers, and very much hope that our grad students will participate in that. And that is about the creation of a work from beginning to end in 10 weeks and performance.
Thank you.
I will also offer that certain classes have frameworks for public presentation as well, and those have varying degrees of like producedness for those classes. So I'm thinking, for example, last spring, one of our colleagues, Miguel Gutierrez, had a class called choreographies of protest, and there was a final showing that that kind of reimagined protest gestures and movements, especially in response to the encampments that had happened here on campus a couple of years ago, and that moved throughout campus actually. So so yeah, different classes also have frameworks for showing and making work in a slightly more public way.
Thank you, Kate. Yeah. Let's see. Whoops, wrong way. Oh, I was going to show you a little bit of an in-process video from a MFA from last year. Actually, I'm not sure if I'm set up for this. Tell me if you can see this.
So Vic, we can see it, but we can't hear it.
All right, I'm going to skip that, but these are all on our website. We ask each MFA, so if you are a graduate student in our program, we ask that you create a process video of, just one second. Here's another one that I won't show you, but of your work. And so you can look at these on your own time. And this is our choreographic faculty. You're in the room right now with Kate Leidenheim and Victoria Marks, that's me. Will Rawls is an associate professor, and he's the BA dance program lead, the undergraduate. Miguel Gutierrez, who Kate just mentioned. And Lionel Popkin is a choreographer in our department, but right now he is performing himself as the interim dean of the School of the Arts and Architecture. But he will be back in our department. And then we also have quite an extraordinary group of dance studies faculty, Anurima Banerjee, whose work rethinks Indian dance's classicism, challenges the very idea of classicism. Tria Blue Wakpa, who in bold strokes, her work thinks about indigenous and carceral performance, thinking about the ways in which members of indigenous communities preserve culture through dance in resistance to the ways in which indigenous cultures have been foreclosed through colonial processes. Rebecca Cowell is also a dance historian, is looking at our military and the ways in which military globally have moved dance practices around the world, and also how dancing functions within the military. And Janet O'Shea, I really shouldn't have gone down this street where I'm trying to summarize what people do, but Janet O'Shea is a really interesting thinker about dance and fighting and play, the kind of play that is not about a goal orientation, but thinking about the ways in which sparring, for example, is a kind of sociality. Janet also is looking at immigration as movement and thinking about the situation here, in 2025. And we have a very exciting group of World Arts and Cultures faculty who you will also meet. This is a little bit of a picture here, and I don't dare to try to summarize what each of these folks do, but you definitely can look at them on our website and find out a little bit more. There's a little bio for each of them on our website. And then we have extended faculty. Now, many of these people here are noted artists, choreographers who teach courses as well as do their own work outside the university. You might recognize some of these names. These include performance art makers, dance makers, concert dance. Concert dance is hip hop, concert dance is postmodern dance, concert dance as West African dance, and so on. And then we have our amazing staff. And you are right here in a room with Matt Dingman. So I'm going to pause there and then we can come back to our room together. And let's take a moment for any questions you might have about the program. And also, Kate and Matt, if you have things you'd like to add, I want to invite you to do that. I have a question. Oh, wait, go for it, Karen. You go.
Generally, how large is the cohort that you admit per year?
We've been admitting 2 or 3 students a year. And one reason we do that is because we work to ensure that a student has a full year of funding and then that we commit to. And then the second year, we can't commit to full funding, but we work really hard to make that happen. We're very committed to supporting our students, even though this is a challenging time in terms of universities and university support. So we keep it small so that we can really do absolute, do justice to the folks who come and work with us. And I have a question for you, Kate. My question for you is, what do you think is one of the exciting things, because you are, in a sense, new-ish, but you've made a very particular choice to be in this department. And what excites you about the MFA program in the Department of World Arts and Culture Dance?
I love this question. So I decided to work at UCLA in large part because I'll say 2 broad reasons. One is that this department understands artistic practice as scholarship in and of itself. So in many other frameworks, a lot of what you're doing is translating your actual artistic work into something that is legible to a university structure, which generally means like writing about your work, but actually UCLA values the work itself as the scholarship, and that is a gift to artists. And so that is something that the faculty models and is able to, and is an ethic that gets translated onto our MFAs. I think also in this department, interdisciplinarity is not something you need to fight for. It is just a given. We just assume that people will be drawing upon different kinds of ideas and disciplines and ways of thinking. So that is another thing that is really exciting about the MFA program here. You get to have LA as your playground, and LA performance in both experimental and non-experimental forms is having a real renaissance and a real exciting moment, which makes me really excited to be here and to be a part of this wider community, not just in, I love the community here at UCLA, but being too fixed to one thing can be limiting, and that is not a risk here. And also, I will say that every member of this faculty takes our calling as educators and public servants very seriously. So often in the pressures of a university setting can often cause certain professors to not be present for their students. And again, just not a problem here at UCLA. So we take mentorship and building partnerships and really strong relationships with our MFAs quite seriously.
Mm.
That's my sales pitch. Come to UCLA.
That sounds great, Kate. And you made me think of one other thing too, which is that our undergraduate program really played a role, a leadership role in the country over the last 20 years in terms of rethinking what it means to think about dance in the university, because if you can believe it, dance in the university was formulated around an idea about ballet and modern dance, and that was it. Maybe there was like some jazz, or maybe there was some like, you know, folkloric something, but always the hierarchy went like that. And what this department did beginning in 1995 was took that idea that, I guess you would say a conservative, you might even call it like a settler colonial idea about the way dance works, and took the whole thing and moved it horizontally to say that all dance is an expression of culture. All dance does different things for different generations, for different people in different communities and around the world. And because we are also so deeply tied between the MFA and the PhD, the sense in which the thinking about dance is filtered into the dances we make is very present. My sense is that, well, I've been here 30 years, if you can believe it. Not here in this room, and definitely not on Zoom, but at UCLA. And I would say that that's because I have never felt bored. I have always felt stimulated. I have never taught the same course twice. Um, so I think that there's a lot of good going on in our program, and I certainly hope that you'll consider applying. Um, is there anything else we want to say or ask? I know we're on the hour. Maya.
Can I ask 2 last questions?
Mhm.
Okay, so this is specifically just about the application. So after I submit my application, do I also need to submit my FAFSA to UCLA?
That's a Matt question.
So the FAFSA is not part of your application. Graduate students, it's a very
Yeah.
different issue than it is with undergrads. With undergraduate, you need to submit by a certain date, and
Okay.
so the application itself goes through the Division of Graduate Education, which we've talked about. But
Mhm.
no, FAFSA is not the same thing where it needs to be submitted. I think it's February or March or something for undergrad. The grad
Mhm.
student one is a very different situation. So
Okay.
hear about that as you go through the admissions process after you're admitted, possibly, but it's not a
Okay.
huge concern for now.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, and then you answered my second question. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Great. Well, if you have more questions, Matt is certainly available. I think any questions that Matt feels he wants to filter back to us, we're happy to be responsive. It's a pleasure to meet you all. We hope to meet you again through the application process. And I know that there are lots of things that you're considering as you're looking towards your upcoming year. So we wish you the very best for everything as you move forward. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, you guys.
Nice to meet you all.